everyone, Derek Floyd here, Beautiful Now Project, of course, the Motivation Minute, and we're back for another episode of Chasing the Impossible. I am really always excited to talk to this guy, this friend of mine. He really is an amazing, first of all, he's a Christian, so he believes in God, but he's a father, he's a husband, he's an entrepreneur, he's a giver, he's an encourager. There's all these great things, not to mention he has this amazing business called The Recording Revolution, which a lot of you have probably heard of. I know you have, because there's 250,000 of you out there. So we have in our midst today, Graham Cochrane. Graham, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, Derek. Thanks for having me on, man.
Man, I am so excited for you to be here. I mean, I've always found you very inspiring and very encouraging, just as a person one-on-one. So it's neat for me to get the opportunity to take a few minutes to let you share with people that I know, people that subscribe to me, about what you do, how you've done it, and how you chased your impossible. So tell me a little bit tell them what your business is, what Recording Revolution is all about.
So Recording Revolution is a YouTube channel, it's a website, and it's a resource for musicians who want to make their music in their home recording studio. You know, they have like a little room like this, or they have a spare bedroom or a basement, or just a desk in their living room where they have a little laptop or something, and they've started maybe recording, or maybe they don't even know what they need to buy.
Sure.
Either way, their stuff doesn't sound good, right? Their recordings sound like to what they hear on the radio in terms of quality, and they're like, man, my stuff does sound amateur. What can I do to make it better? And so my goal is to show up where they're looking. When they get on YouTube, how do I make my vocals sound like,
yeah, right.
Guitars to sound better? My goal is to show up there and basically bring them tutorials, training, sometimes product reviews, a lot of encouragement, a lot of mindset, a lot of strategies, a lot of dispelling myths, and like there's a lot of bad information out there. So I'm kind of a resource for the average home musician who wants to make really good sounding recordings.
So you're a resource that you have a website business, but it's also a YouTube funnel from your content. Is that kind of how it marries together?
Yeah, I mean, YouTube was a natural platform for me because I wanted to share a lot of video content, right? I wanted to show them what's happening inside of the software so they can see and hear the changes I'm making to the music. So because video is a good platform for how to teach it, YouTube made a lot of sense, right? Sure. I have a lot of written articles and blogs as well. You know, I've done podcasts as well, but video seems to be the best platform for me, for my niche. And so I get more traffic and leads from YouTube than anywhere else.
Okay, gotcha. So as a new person who doesn't understand, Graham takes information and content for the average person who doesn't know how to make their music sound good. He delivers that via the internet, via his website, via YouTube, via all the platforms. So at the end of the interview, of course, I'll have some things where you can see where to get that content, where you can reach out to Graham and be involved in what he does, which is just amazing. So let me back up a little bit. You know, I brought you here obviously because you've been what most people would call successful. And for me, sometimes success breeds impossible tasks along the way to get to where you are. If I asked you, hey, Graham, what would you consider, how did you consider this to be involved? And what was the impossible about this that you had to accomplish? How would you articulate that?
Oh man, well, everything I'm doing right now, I would have told you is impossible. I actually wouldn't have even known what it was 10 years ago, right? So let me back up, because what I do for a living now and what I feel like God has called me to do is not what I was trying to do. I didn't even know it was, like I said, possible. And it wasn't something I even felt like, okay, I'll give this a shot. I kind of was forced into this because I lost a job during the recession. So I moved from Virginia to Florida to help my buddy start a church down here. And I wanted the adventure. And my wife and I said, let's move. And I offered to be the volunteer worship leader guy and play music. And we all kind of left jobs and houses and got new jobs down in Florida. And this was in 2009. It was a really bad time to make a big shift because there wasn't a lot of job opportunities. But I actually found a job finally at a startup in the financial services section. I didn't really care. I just wanted to get a paycheck so I could move. And 5 months in, we had moved, bought our first house, had our first baby, and then my company folded. It ran out of money, and they
What?
didn't pay me anymore. So I find myself like, okay, I was able to move and transition, but now my income source is dried up. So what I also had been doing for years was freelance recording and mixing.
Okay.
Ever since my freshman dorm room, I was getting paid to record and mix bands. And
so that was a passion from the very beginning.
Absolutely. That was a passion. I've been a musician my whole life. So recording became an evolution of my musician passion. And I did both. I made my own music. I recorded other people's music, but it was always nights and weekends, extra money, right? It wasn't like we got to depend on this to pay the rent kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I knew I had that skill. I could ramp that up and get some gigs to get some money. My wife is a photographer, so she tried to ramp up some more weddings and portraits and things like that. We were burning through savings. We were on food stamps for 18 months. I mean, we really had no money. And so I'm trying to gig my way to an income.
Yeah.
And all along at the exact same time, I started blogging. The idea was maybe if I blog about whatever clients I do have or whatever I'm doing in the studio, maybe if I write about it, share what's going, do some videos, someone out there will hear about me.
Wow.
They certainly won't hear about me if I don't blog because no one knows me. So if I blog, there'll be something out there. Maybe they'll find out what I'm doing, think it's cool, think I'm talented, like the music I'm making, reach out to me and say, hey, will you produce my record? Will you record my record? And I thought it might lead me to some more freelance work.
Sure.
But what God ended up doing is creating this movement where all of a sudden people were coming out of nowhere, finding my little blog, finding my little YouTube channel, and saying, oh, this is really helpful. Could you do a video on this? Or could you go more in depth on this? And so when I had time in between gigs, because I had no day job, I remember I lost my job. So when I was in between a project, or if I had a day where there was nothing to work on, I would shoot some videos for people and I would share it on Facebook. And I had no audience, no plan, no anything, but I kind of began this journey of, can I help people with this content? And is there a way to make money off of this? I had no idea. Is that possible?
Right.
So what I do now for a living started in that sort of soup of uncertainty.
Wow. And see, that is such an amazing story, because a couple of things I just want to point out is that we sometimes look at God and go, oh man, why'd you let this happen to me? But God pushed you out of that space from the old job to get you to where you were, to make you depend on him, to put you in a different space of mind so that you had to do something different. But if he would not have pushed you out and looked at that situation, you would have never landed where you are. So everything had a purpose. Everything had a reason. God doesn't do anything by accident. So I always like to share people, don't look at your situation and think, woe is me, because maybe there's a transition happening that you're getting to something else on the other end, and it may seem impossible right now, but it's not. You're going to get to the other side, and your story is proof of that. So you land here and you start blogging, and you're thinking, man, this is impossible, but this just could do something. You just never know, right?
Well, that's what, what I did see was that the content was really resonating with people.
Sure.
Like put something out, there's people that are going to say nice things like your mom and your siblings. And
yeah.
I had those who would support me no matter what. But when I saw random strangers that would find a video, and they would say, oh man, this is probably the most helpful video I've seen on this topic, or I like the way you explain that, or I finally understand this concept because of the way you taught it. Could you do more? It really was like, I had a conversation with my wife. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. All I want is stability and a paycheck. Mm-hmm. But it does seem like there's something here.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with it, but should I keep following it? Because I was really insecure. And I try to be honest with people. Like I didn't get this idea. And even though I lost my job, thought, well, now's my chance to start a business. I didn't want a business.
Yeah.
I like stability. Like I said, I'm a big fan of being able to predict what my money's going to be. Take care of my family, right? I don't like instability.
Right.
So I wasn't trying to make something work. I wasn't trying to go for my dreams or work from home. Like I was willing to do whatever.
Right.
But my wife was a big supporter. She said, no, I see what you're seeing.
Right.
I don't know how you monetize it either. And even if you did, I don't know how it'd ever be enough money to support us, but maybe it's a piece of the puzzle. You'll keep getting some gigs. Mm-hmm. I'll keep gigs, and maybe this little YouTube channel or website will turn into something that maybe it'll all work together. And so I wrestled and again, like I'm on food stamps, which is, I only say that because that was something I my wife requested we apply for, because we really had no income coming, because it was one thing to the next. Once I burned through my savings, there was nothing.
Sure.
And I turned her down. I said, no, I'm not going to take a handout. Right.
Wow.
I was like, it was more of like, I felt like I would, even if nobody knew, I would know. And I would feel like a failure. I would feel like I have a college degree. These are all very prideful thoughts, by the way.
Sure.
So just
Sure.
a college degree, I've held jobs, I work hard, I'm not lazy, all these things that I said about these other people. And I'm not one of those people, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to take, assistance from the government to buy groceries. And my wife was like, babe, but we really need the help. And we had a friend who they were on food stamps, and the amount of money was really helpful. And she finally begged me to do it. And I finally applied, and we unfortunately qualified, but unfortunately it was a huge blessing and a huge help.
Sure.
Maybe about my tax dollars a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that existed. But there was 18 months of that where I felt like I was working hard, but didn't know how to make money for my family. And I was embarrassed. I was going every holiday, man, like every time I'd get together with people, my family members knew that I had lost my job. And then they kept asking me, so what are you doing? Did you get another job?
Right.
I said, well, I'm recording and mixing bands,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm blogging about audio recording.
And they're like, yeah, but why don't you get a job?
Yeah. Nice. But they would ask like the obvious awkward questions like, okay, how do you make money with that?
Yeah. Are you feeding your family okay? Can we get you some groceries? And then you're like, no, I'm good.
Oh, and that was the thing, is like I don't know how to make money. I don't actually know what I'm doing, but I feel like I'm supposed to do this, and I hate every minute of it. I don't have a vision for this. So it's just as awkward for me as it is for you.
Right.
Not the life that I had planned. I had like this quarter life crisis. I was 26 at the time.
26, Graham, you're only 30 now. What are you talking about, 26?
No, dude, 35, brother.
You're a youngin'. You're a baby.
But that's the funny thing, is when you're in your mid-20s, you feel like you've got to make it happen now or never, which obviously I'm realizing is not true. But at the time I felt like, I'm a failure. 4 years into my post-school career, and I have no job, and I just felt like a mess. And so it was not my whole point of it. It was not what I wanted. It was not fun. I had no plan, but I knew that there was something there, and I was trying to do it, like the scripture says, whatever your hand finds to do with all your might. And so this is what God put in my path. And I was like, well, I'm going to make the best videos I can. I'm going to make the best articles I can. I'm going to help the most people I can, and treat it like it's a job, even though I don't know how to make money off of this. And if it's only for a few months or a year, at least I will have created a really cool resource that will help a lot of people.
So you just touched on something, and it's always what I tell people is that whatever you do it to the best of your ability, and you do it to help others. You do it to be of value to someone. You do it to be of value for the people in your life. It's not just what can you give me, but you just said, I want to get great content to help people. I want to do the best I can so that you can get great things. None of that was about me. You were all about helping someone else. And I think that exudes from you. And I think that's a great quality to think about when you're trying to reach something impossible. It's like so much of it we think about it is us, but your impossible task is normally draped in doing service to someone or some service for someone. And we miss that part of it, So it's wonderful to hear you talk about the servant part of what you do, because that's where I feel like you shine. So let me recap. So your impossible task was really just to take care of your family, because you didn't really have a plan. You're just like, okay, God, you brought me out here. Now I have no job. I just got out of school. I got a baby. I'm in this place. I'm on food stamps now. What the heck am I going to do? And your impossible was to feed your family and to also build this small thing that you had a passion for. It was a passion for helping people. It was a passion for talking about music and recording, and still recording bands. So it's like you wanted your music career to still be the focal point, but you didn't know how. You're like, well, I got these two things I'm doing. They're not making a lot of money, but at least there's something. I'm just going to keep going and see what God wants to do with this. So your next phase was, of course, the why. And the why was you got to feed your family. I mean, that's, that was the biggie,
Yeah, it was really simple at the beginning. It was.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, can I take care of my family with this? Because after a while, if I can't, then chasing your dream is nice, and I'm not afraid of telling people to find out what do they really feel called to do and to move towards it. But if it's at the expense of taking care of your family, then that's not really a dream worth pursuing, right? So they have to go hand in hand. And so I knew that. I felt the weight of, if this can't provide for my family, at some point we're gonna have to have that conversation of, let's wrap up this and I'll go work at Home Depot or something, you know?
Smart, smart. So once you figured out that there was something there, and what was awesome, I think what you mentioned, was that your wife saw it. And sometimes we need that person in our life to encourage us when we don't feel like this is never going to happen, but they see something in us. When we're up against that impossible wall and they go, no, honey, there's something here. You can do that. There's something. I see something, what you see. Because sometimes we get down on ourselves and we feel like, oh, it's never going to happen. I don't have the skills. I'm not good enough, not smart enough. I don't have the resources. We give ourselves all those excuses, or I say all those crutches, because we all run with crutches sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, no, you can do this. I believe in it. And I'm sure that probably pushed you along, no?
Oh, absolutely. Because we all suffer from what people call imposter syndrome.
No.
Like an imposter.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be doing this.
Yes.
I thought about that a lot. I was like, I know how to record and mix music, but so do a lot of other people who are probably way more talented and way more qualified to be sharing this information than me. Who am I to put up these videos saying, this is how you do this, this is how you do this? I didn't feel like I had the credibility to just do it. And so I struggle with that at times. Even to this day, I still struggle with that from time to time, of like, I'll wake up one morning and feel like, man, who am I to do this? And in a lot of ways, it keeps you humble.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, it shows the power of what God can do, and also the power of not really thinking about yourself. Because it's when you say, who am I to do this? It's still a selfish thought.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still like,
what about me? What do you mean it's not me? You sure?
It's all about me, because I don't feel good enough about myself to do it.
Yeah.
And really, if, like you said, if you wanted, I think, if you look at anyone who's had success, however you define it, but has had some notoriety or been able to achieve something that's people are writing about or impacted in a huge way, they generally do it by focusing on other people. You know, like, they're not out there focusing on themselves. And so that's the secret. That's the secret to success, is go out in the world, marry what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and what people need, right? And serve that out of the people around you as best you can. You'll be successful in all the ways that you can describe the word. And I remember thinking, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And every time I think, who am I? That's one less opportunity to think about, who can I help? Who can I help? Who can I help? Is this stuff helping them? If it's not helping them, if everyone's like, dude, this is awful, then there's no point to do it. But if it's helping somebody in some way, then that's all that matters, right?
Right. Wow. So take me a couple of years forward. Recording Evolution is starting to move, and you're going, wow, there's something going on here, and you start to generate revenue from it. So in the spectrum of how impossible would happen when you're chasing that thing, when did you start to dig in and do the homework to get this machine moving? Because you said you stumbled upon it, but at some point you got to go, okay, I need to figure this thing out, because now it's moving. I need to put some grind into it. I need to figure out the homework of how to make this machine work. When did that happen?
So it happened in, like, I would say 3 phases. The first phase was actually really early on, when I was looking for ways to monetize it or make money off of this thing, to justify my time beyond the first 6 months that I just put in for free. And I put together a video course. Basically, I had shot 3 or 4 hours of video explaining how to use this one piece of software that's kind of like the Photoshop of the music industry, right? And so it was this longer training, and at the time in YouTube land, I wasn't able to upload videos longer than 10 or 15 minutes. So if I wanted to share this whole training, it would have been like 50 or 60 videos. And I thought, you know what, this is really good stuff. I've taken the time. Maybe instead of making it a video series that I upload for free, how about I keep all the free stuff, but then I sell this. Maybe I just put it up on my server. I create a PayPal button. I email out whoever's on my list and say, hey, I've got this amazing training. Here's how much it costs. Check it out and see if somebody buys it. And I remember the day I got my first sale.
Wow.
Course. And I think all I made was $45 at the time. I think it was a $45 sale. And I remember like, oh my gosh, like this money came in from a stranger that I don't know.
Wow.
What he got in return was this digital file that I've already made. I've already put in the work. Can I sell more of these? Like if more people bought it,
Sure.
unlimited potential, right? So that was like my moment of, okay, I figured out how this worked. People found me through the free videos. And then those who were really excited joined my email list and heard more information about me. And those people I let know about my paid course.
Mm-hmm.
Can I replicate this? And so that began a 2-year, 3-year journey of making more courses, trying to get more people to hear about me, and finding out what else could I teach, what else could I share that people would pay for. And that took about 2 years to really land on a couple of courses that became big hits for me. I probably had 3 or 4 courses that were okay. And then my 5th and 6th ones became, to this day, my best sellers.
Mm-hmm.
And that was about 2 years in. When I hit that 2-year mark, that was when revenue started to pick up from just a few $100 there, a few $1,000s there, to I think by the end of my 2nd year, I reached my all-time goal of making $60,000
Wow.
a year off of this little blog. And I hit that in 2 years. And that we obviously didn't qualify for food stamps anymore. I saw money coming in, and I was like, dude, this could be a full, not even a part-time income. This could be a
full-time thing.
Full-time income. And I could just blog about audio.
But
How
you were
cool
still doing that part-time at that time in 2 years?
Yeah. I mean, if I treated it like full-time,
right?
And so that I viewed it as my most important work because the potential was bigger, I thought, than even the freelance work, but it's always in between gigs.
Right.
So I probably was spending at least 20 hours a week on it.
Sure.
All the while, I told someone last week on a podcast, but I always have taken Fridays off.
Right.
And there were reasons for that because I was very busy on the weekends volunteering with my church band. So Saturdays were busy with rehearsals and trailers and storage units and transporting stuff. And then Sundays were the same thing, but only for the church service. So I never really had a full day off to rest, to have that Sabbath rest with my family. So I was counseled by someone older and wiser to me to take Fridays off to be my family day. So from day one, I only really had Monday through Thursday to work. And so I was doing both in that time period, but I was treating it like a full-time job as best I could in those 32 hours I had.
So to me, it seems like you doing the homework was figuring out, okay, I found something that's working. I need to dive deeper into that area to see how that revenue can continue. You probably had to talk to others about marketing and how to build that up, because I'm sure you said you stumbled upon it, so you maybe not have known how to build an email database or to get people to your website or to your YouTube channel. And I'm sure you had resources that helped you get there. So, you discovered that you had this platform that you could do. So you had a vision there, you had an impossible there. Then you said, well, my why is I've got to do this for my family. I've got to be able to help people. So there was a dual why there. You wanted to help people with what they saw, but you knew this had to take care of your family. Then your grind or your homework became you really diving in and saying, okay, I found that this can be something, but I'm going to put the work in. I've got to have to create the platform and really drive the business with these new things that you learned about it. So you really start to see your impossible task come to fruition. Now, here's the part where some people miss it. Everybody goes through that arc, but there's also a downside somewhere. Sometimes you hit a wall. Sometimes you hit an area of failure, and you feel like, oh, maybe I wasn't supposed to. Did you ever hit a wall of failure where you thought maybe this was the wrong thing? And how'd you bounce back from that?